the Scarface, your boy Scarface, and welcome back to another episode. Thank you guys always for tuning in every week, expecting a new episode or wanting a new episode. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you get a chance, vote for us for the best podcast. Link is in the description, and also vote for me for the best photographer if you can. If you have some time, it takes nothing too long. And wherever you're listening to it, if you can leave us a 5-star, a thumbs up, whatever the case may be, share it, whatever, it helps the podcast out tremendously. I want to thank you guys again for always tuning in every week, wanting a new episode. And today, obviously, it's Monday after Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you females out there, single baby mamas that are being taken care of. I had an interesting conversation over on my TikTok. So if you haven't followed my TikTok or Instagram, I said, is it okay? Like if you're dating a man and he has a baby mama, is it okay if he buys his baby mama a gift? Okay. So here's what I said. It's okay. Like if I'm dating a girl and she buys a gift for the baby daddy because she's helping the kids buy the gift for the baby daddy. Now, if it was just a gift from her to him, straight, like, especially if the kid's like a toddler, like, or can't even talk, that's a no-go, okay? That's my thing. Let me know. I know you can comment on this stuff. Like, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Other than that, it's a no for me, dog. Like, that relationship ended when you guys ended. So, and I get it. That's your baby mama, whatever. But sorry. And again, if you can't do that for me, that's totally fine. You know what I mean? We're just not meant for each other. I say that all the time. But today's podcast episode, I wanted to get into the 10 reasons why you should possibly date someone who's opposite than you. Because everybody, for the most part, is always like, oh, I need to find somebody who has similar interest in me and this, and that, because we're going to click so well. Yeah, you might click so well. Yeah, you might want to do similar things. But here's the thing about that, too. There's also a downside. Because if you guys like all the same things, guess what? You guys are going to get tired of doing the same things. And you guys aren't going to want to, you might, but learning new things, trying new things, doing different things that you wouldn't normally do, that's, something that some people wouldn't do, because if you guys all like the same stuff, then guess what? You're going to be doing all the same stuff. So eventually I feel like that relationship is going to get a little bit more boring quicker, or like it's going to, you're going to have to find a way to keep it interesting. But the reason I like, and I always date somebody who's not 100% similar as me, but like has some similarities, but is also pretty different. Okay. So, number one reason is broaden horizons. Dating someone opposite exposes you to different perspectives and experiences, broadening your horizons. And that's what I was talking about just a second ago. Like dating someone who's opposite than you, you're going to try new things because maybe they like to do different things than you, and you're going to try new things. You're going to do new things because you want to, fit in this person's world, and you want to compromise and you want to try new things. And you never know, you might try something and you learn to love it, and you're like, oh dang, like I don't know why I've never done this before. And it's going to keep the relationship interesting because now you're learning something new. They're probably learning something new as well too. So that's always like broadening your horizons, learning new things. I'm always down to try new things. So like that's why I love, especially like doing things that I don't normally do. And then someone's like, hey, we should do this. And I'm like, well, I normally don't do that, but I'm all for it. Let's try it. So that's why, keep an open mind. You can broaden your horizons. You can broaden what your normal is. Okay. So number 2, balance dynamics. Opposites often complement each other, creating a balanced dynamic in a relationship. And I can definitely see this, like, again, because it's almost like those weight things. Like if you guys are all similar, like there's nothing really new that you guys can learn. And so I've always liked trying new things. Like that is something that really I like to do, is like, and when someone's like, hey, let's try this. I'm like, yeah, I've never done that. Oh, I've never eaten that. Oh, I would have never thought to do that. When it even comes to movies, like, oh, I never thought to watch that movie because that wasn't like my typical forte of movie to pick, and things like, it's like little things like that. Somebody had told me about a movie not too long ago, and it was a great movie, but it wasn't never a movie that I would have been like, oh, let me watch this one. I saw it, like, see it on like Netflix or whatever, like click on it and you'll be like, oh yeah, I really like this. I would have never clicked on that movie, to be honest. So Number three, growth opportunity. Being with someone different challenge you to grow and adapt, fostering personal development. And that's something I love to do. That's something that I always strive for every day, and every year to get better and better is to grow as a person. And learning new things, trying new things is definitely one way to grow as a person, because if you just stick to what you know, similar, comfortable, never step out of your comfort zone, then you're never, yeah, you'll still grow, but not as fast and not learn new things. And it's funny, the more you learn that how much you don't know, right? Like you learn something new and then you realize how much you don't know about this. So you want to learn more about that. And so now you're learning more about that. So um it's growing for me has helped me like to get into any of those like ruts, because if I constantly feel like I'm growing, I'm getting better as a person, evolving, uh I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense, like continuously growing. um and also it like it helps you have better conversations too, like when you don't know something, then guess what, and this other person knows pretty well on it. Now you guys have something to talk about. Now it's just not like if you date someone who's similar, you guys kind of know everything, and that conversation is going to get boring after a little while. So growth opportunities is a huge one for me, because again, that's what's helped me a lot, is to be able to grow as a person has motivated me to continue to learn, continue to get better, and prevents me from being in these like ruts, these down states, like people, you can call it depression, you can call it whatever you want, but uh, it helps me avoid that type of like rut, because when I'm not doing anything, when I'm not learning new things, I feel like I wasted a day, like I haven't done anything, like I'm wasting my life basically. So you see how it helps me. So definitely growth opportunity, learning new things from a new person. For example, like say you're not really into horses, maybe, and then you start dating someone who's into horses. Now you're learning something about horses and learning how what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, and that's just an example. There's a bunch of different uh, people out here. So uh, number four that we have is learning from differences. You can learn from each other's strengths and weaknesses and improving yourselves in the process. And again, I think that's what a lot of people are a lot of are afraid to jump into new things because they're afraid to fail, afraid to not know what they're doing, and not they don't want to look like they're not, like they don't know what they're doing. That's it really the confidence level goes way down when you don't know how to do something. You're like just like, ah, fuck, like I don't know how to do it, or I don't know what to ask, I don't know what I'm doing here. But learning, it helps you uh strengthen those weaknesses that you have, like if you're not good at doing this, but then the person that comes along helps you improve that weakness, and guess what, you just become a better person. uh Hence to the previous one, the growth opportunity, like always growing, like learning new things, growing, it's constant, like trust me, I love it. It makes me, it fulfills me, like knowing that I'm growing and learning new things, and growing, just that I refuse to be in the same kind of area that I'm in the next year, same time. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to like I want to be able to say that I learned so much more. I did this, I did that, like I brought this into my life. I started learning a little bit about this. I've grown from here to there, and it's really motivating. So number five that we have is sparks creativity. Diverse viewpoints can ignite creativity and innovation, leading to ideas and adventures. Like I love this because being in this creative world, like social media, creating content, it's yes, you have ideas flowing all the time, but it's not always the right ideas, right? Like so you're always like trying to create new ideas, but then getting a different perspective on something else. Now you're just like, oh, like I never thought of this, I never thought of this, or this person can bring new ideas to your life that you would have never really thought in that way, and it's happened to me. So um like it's really beneficial. Again, it's not always perfect to date somebody who's completely opposite, because some people like that similarity and that comfort, but I love people who are not completely different than me, but then they are opposite in a lot of different places than I am, because it does spark creativity, because now you start learning about like things that they know, And then they're like, well, why didn't you think you should think about it like this way or do this, maybe try this? And I started thinking, I'm like, oh, they're right. That's totally right. Like I could try that. That's something different and something I haven't really thought about. So creativity, and especially if you're in the social media world, creative world, I everybody knows like, yeah, you always have like ideas going and going. It's not always the right idea. Um, so like you're always trying to find the right idea, and then this helps you find different right ideas. Keeps things interesting. Opposites attract and keep things interesting as there's always something new to discover about each other. And that's why I say like that goes back to the whole learning, growing. When someone is the opposite of you, you're learning new things because this is not something you're used to or you're accustomed to, because you're accustomed to dating somebody who like this, who likes to do all the same stuff, likes the same things, and so that that's comfortable. But like say, for example, like uh you're dating somebody who loves to go to rodeos and you've never been to a rodeo in your life, or even like race car. I've never seen a race car. I don't watch NASCAR. I don't watch none of that racing. But what if I start dating a girl who's actually into it? Now I'm going to be learning stuff because I'm just like, well, I've never really been into it. I really don't know the NASCAR world. And then they start teaching you stuff, and just I've learned so much about makeup, you know what I mean? That more than I should know, because obviously I don't put makeup on, or I don't do that for a living. But being with people who are in that industry, like they do makeup for a living, they do hair for a living, you start learning like things that they start telling you, and it's interesting. It's not like I'm out here doing makeup, but you start learning, and that way you can have these conversations later on. Like say something comes up and you're able to like add to the conversation. You're gonna seem a lot smarter than you really are, just because you kind of know a little bit of that area and you can add to the conversation. People always love when you can add to conversations. If they bring up a topic and then you're just like, no, never, really, I don't know. But if they bring up a topic and you're like, oh yeah, well this is X, Y, and Z, and they're like, yeah, like that is something, and they're gonna be like, oh, this guy's like pretty well versed in different areas, and that's what somebody who's opposite is gonna help you, because you're gonna be around them. So obviously they're gonna be different than you, so you're gonna be able to learn different things than you. And I've learned so much from like people that I've gone on dates with, been like actually dated. We were 100% similar, but there's like different things that they brought to the table, and I was just like, oh dang, that's interesting, that's cool. I've never thought of that. I never knew about that. If you're with somebody and you're constantly learning something all the time, that's a good person to be with, because guess what, now they're learning, and hopefully they're learning from you too. Hopefully you're giving them some sort of you're teaching them whatever, like, and I'm not saying necessarily like sitting there like you're trying to teach them, but just like random conversations happen and you start talking about it, and you're like, oh well, it's because of this and this and this, and then you start learning, um and it definitely keeps it interesting, because I was reading this article too that says that most males, I forgot how it was, I should have looked it up, but it said most males lose interest by year two, like being with somebody. That's why, like, yes, you can be with somebody a lot longer. I'm not saying like they're going to completely lose interest and dip out, but if you're keeping it interesting, keeping it spicy, adding like intimacy, like doing different things, learning new things, growing, trying new things with your partner, like traveling with your partner, doing stuff with your partner, keeps it interesting and keeps that relationship going longer. Because after 2 years, it says that it just like, it goes up, it's great, it's great, it's great, and then all of a sudden like plateaus, and then it slowly starts to go down, right? Like the interest level. And it's no relationship is easy, but like if you guys really want to make it work, you have to put in the effort. That's why people do date nights, people do this, do that, because they want the relationship to work, so they're going to do whatever it takes. And like even if they go to counseling, they get told the same thing, like, hey, you guys need to do a little bit more stuff together, you guys need to talk more together, uh figure out what's actually making you upset and things like that. So that's why like keeping things interesting, and like somebody who's not exactly the same as you is going to keep things interesting, because you don't know a lot about their world, and now you're going to want to learn more about their world, and what they do, and it's going to be interesting, and hopefully it's the same way. And guess what, now you're interested in this person, and it's going to help grow this relationship or keep this relationship going for a lot longer and interesting. So but you, as you can see, like if you're similar, then that similarity, like eventually you're gonna be like, oh, like I'm not really learning anything from this person. We do everything together. Like it gets boring because we do the same things. Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So that's why it's keeps things interesting. So number seven that we have is enhanced communication skills. Learning to communicate effectively with someone different improves your communication skills, and that's 100% like correct because I've just over the years, just doing the TikToks, podcast, everything helps with having conversations with people, being able to talk with people. Because I haven't always been the most comfortable to talk to people, random people, and now it comes off a lot more natural and easy. And I make it look easy, but it really isn't easy. But this is just being able to communicate with like different, like if you had different partners, different people like especially if you don't know if they're opposite, it's gonna help you communicate later on too, like because you're gonna learn something new, you're gonna learn how to communicate that, and you're gonna feel a little bit more confident. Or if you get with someone who is their speech has to be like 100% correct in punctuation and grammar and all that stuff, then you're gonna learn real quick how to do all that stuff over again. So it does enhance your communication. Just like, I mean, think about this: like if you're talking to somebody random and having a conversation with them, that's, I mean, I'm not saying your partner is random, but it was at a certain point this person was possibly someone you really didn't know, and now you're trying to get to know them, so now you're trying to have that conversation. I've never, which I'm lucky that I've never been in a situation where like I meet someone and I'm like awkward or don't know what to say, or I can hold a conversation, I can talk about. Sometimes I feel like I talk way too much, and I try to like dial myself down, like Edgar, stop talking so much. Like you're talking too much. Shut up. And again, that's me being in my own head too. So number eight is cultural exchange. Dating someone from a different background or culture exposes you to new traditions, languages, and customs. And if this is something you want to do, then by all means. If you're dating someone who's completely different than you, like say I'm Mexican and I start dating a girl from Africa, right? Like our cultures are going to be like way different. I'm going to be learning new things. They're going to be learning new things, and vice versa. But this goes in any like race, uh, cultures, and things like that. You're going to be learning a lot of new things. Yes, I've dated Latinas for the most part, but it's been like Latinas from different parts of Latin America. um, mainly because for me, like I love all girls. Okay, I'm not discriminating at all, but I would love whoever I'm with to be able to have a conversation with my parents, especially my mom. My mom speaks mainly English, no Spanish. I meant she understands English. She can speak a little bit of English, but her main language, first language, is Spanish, obviously. And if you can't have a conversation with her, then it's just gonna be awkward. You know what I mean? Like, say you have a family dinner, family something, whatever, and you're just sitting there, and it's just awkward because you can't communicate. You could probably try to learn, like if that, I've seen some people who try to learn that person's language just so they can communicate with the parents, and that would mean like if I was dating someone who didn't speak Spanish and they started to learn Spanish just to have that conversation with my parents, I'd be like, hell yeah, this is the one right here. Or if they already speak Spanish, makes it a lot easier. So, but yeah, definitely cultural differences. You're going to learn new things. You're going to try new things because obviously you want to be with this person. I remember when my cousin got married. She's obviously Mexican. She got married to a Chinese individual. Shout out to Wilson. Um, and at their wedding, they had different like little ceremonies that we weren't used to. I mean, they did them during the wedding, and I was just like, "What is going on here?" And I'm sure they felt the similar way when we did some of our traditions, in our culture. And so I'm sure they were just like, what's going on here? But imagine if you're the one actually being married or getting in that relationship, you're going to be learning a lot. My ex was Salvadorian, still Latin American, but you got to learn a bunch of different like things from a different part of the world, different traditions, different things that they would do, different foods that they would eat, and things like that. Like I learned a lot. And same goes with like when you date somebody who's a different race, different culture, you tend to learn a lot of things, which I love too. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. And I also, they don't have to be from a different culture. Just, they're just a different person. they prefer this type of stuff, doing this and this and this, and you're like, you've already know what you like to do, and now you want to make it work with this person, so you're willing to try these things, do new things, and keep things interesting. And there's nothing wrong with that. As those people like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna find someone who's just like me. So that could be something else. And number nine that we have is encourages compromise. Negotiating differences encourages compromise and fosters a deep understanding of each other. That's true too, because you have to compromise with this person. Because if you're interested in this person and you want to talk to this person and you want to continue something with this person, you're going to have to compromise with them. You're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to do things that you don't like to do. And girls do it a lot. Like they do it a lot when they step out of their comfort zone to do stuff for the guy. But then the guy doesn't want to step, like, they don't want to, uh, they don't want to do the same. And I hate that, just because you'll see a girl like doing, like stepping out of her comfort zone, doing things that she really doesn't like to do, just because the man likes to do it. And it should be both ways. This is how you keep things interesting. Go and do things that your girl likes to do, even if it's not something you like to do. It's gonna fulfill her, and you never know, you might actually like it. You just don't like it because you've never done it, and you look at it and it may seem boring, but what if in person, like, it's a whole different vibe. I always thought like certain sports were boring on TV. I really didn't watch them, but then live in person, I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. In person is way different. uh, and the same could go for like when you're in a relationship with somebody. So you have to compromise, even if they're not completely different. You still got to compromise with that person, because say we're both Mexican, right? And like we both like our things, we love our cultures, and we like to do similar stuff. But there's some things that we like. Say for some reason, I like to go to the lowrider shows, and the girl I'm with, she's like compromises with me to go to the lowrider shows, and but she likes to go and do this on a certain, like, some sort of makeup event, and she wants me to go, and I'm just like, no. But then she's gonna be like, I always go to your lowrider things, I don't like to go there, but I'm there. So you can be the same way, like, hey, like, she loves this stuff, it's not my thing, but I'll go with her just because I know she loves it. And you never know, you might learn something new, you might meet a person, network with the right person, that opens a whole another opportunity for you. So you just never know. That's why you always gotta, you know I always encourage compromising with people, just because, um, step out of your comfort zone, do something that you're really not used to. Okay. Uh, and number 10 that we have is shared growth. Growing together despite differences can strengthen the bond and create a deeper connection and relationship. And that is true, because, like, when you learn something new with someone, like, it just builds that bond a little bit closer. You learn this, you go through this together, you do this, you grow together, like, that bond becomes stronger. That's why I feel, when people stay in relationships, just because we've been through so much the past 10 years. You've been through ups and downs, you've grown as like a couple people, and now, like, so that bond is pretty tight, and you don't want to let that bond go, because, even though, like, there's no maybe love there anymore, that bond is like, strong. And but learning constantly learning new things about the other person, and about yourself, also, like, keeps you interesting. You know what I mean? Like, keeps you, like, it'll keep me interested in this person, because, like, dang, I didn't know about that. That's cool. Yeah, let's try that. I've never done that before, but, like, way out of my comfort zone. But who? Let's do it. Like, I know there's the whole hop kid dance. I think that's how you say it. Like, if I started dating a girl who was part of her culture, I don't know how to fucking do it. But if she was like, "Hey, you should go out there," they're gonna try to teach you how to do it. I'd be like, "Well, fuck it, let's do it. Let's see." Yeah, I'm gonna make an ass of myself, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be different. I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone to try it, and you never know what might happen. What if your boy kills it? um, but I'm not saying you necessarily have to date somebody who's completely different than you. Uh, there's just there's a pros and cons to dating someone who's completely different. There's pros and cons to dating with people who are uh, almost the same as you. And which one is right? At the end of the day, it's gonna come down to you and what you want. Um, I like people who are, like, somewhat different than me. Like, um, that way, I get to learn a little bit about them. They get to learn a little bit about me. Like, we constantly learning new things about each other. Some Imagine, like, I get with someone who's like likes to do everything super similar. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be cool, but then eventually it's going to be like, okay, okay, like we're doing this again. Like this is, when things get repetitive and you're doing the same things over and over, at a certain point, you're just gonna be like, all right, this is kind of boring. Like let's do something new. Let's try something different. I know some of you guys had said that to your partner. Let's try something new. Let's do something different. We're always doing the same things over and over, uh, and again, probably in the beginning, it was all great. You guys would do everything the same, but then eventually, like I said, that shit get kind of boring. So, but again, there's no right or wrong answer, right or wrong person. Is it right to do this? But I would just recommend trying both. Like if you've always dated somebody who's super similar interests, this and that, maybe, and you're like, it's never been working. Let me try dating someone who's, like pretty much different, or if you date people who are always different and it hasn't been working, maybe date someone who's like a little bit more similar than you, like it doesn't hurt, you're going to get hurt. No, I'm just joking. You never know. Like it might be what you're actually looking for and what you actually enjoy. So, that's why I wanted to touch on those, just because I see it a lot in movies. I see it a lot, and they're like, "Oh, find somebody who's extremely compatible with you, likes this and that." Like, but that's not always right. You know what I mean? Like, who said that was right? Find somebody who loves all the same things as you do. Yeah, it would be nice. Like say you like anime conventions. You want somebody to go with you, and like, but you start dating someone and they're not liking it. If I started dating someone and that was what they were into, I'd be like, what, I'll compromise with them and I'll go try it and see what it's about. But I'm not gonna be like, or because you never know. What if I fall in love with it too? Be like, oh shit, I've never done this, but this is dope. This is badass. I would have never came if it wasn't for this person. So just keep an open mind, compromise with the person, and at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way to date. Like it's hard out here. um, because you never know what somebody's intentions are, or if they can't get over their exes. You guys know what I'm talking about. That's why I've been single for so long, just because it's kind of hard to see like where people are at, or if they want something or serious with you. So it's a lot of trial and error out there. So, but at the end of the day, hopefully you find whoever you're looking for, and it's gonna treat you like a queen, treat you like a king. And I really do appreciate you guys for always tuning in every week for the podcast. If you guys have like recommendations on what kind of episode you guys want me to do, because I usually go based off of what is pretty popular on the TikTok, what's been doing really well. So I'm like, oh, let's do an episode on this, let's do an episode on that. Or if I get a lot of questions on a certain area, then I'm like, let's do that. So, but I want to thank you guys. Shout out to everyone who comes over from the TikTok, Instagram. If you guys want to follow me on those, if you haven't followed me, link is in the description. If you can, please go vote for me, the best podcast and photographer. It's also linked down below in the description, whether if it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, then you name it. The links are there. If you could please vote, or just leave us a 5-star rating and a thumbs up. It would go a long way. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.